Come with me.
This is the Oasis. It's a place where the limits of reality are your own imagination.
Welcome, players. I'm Parzival. Let me bring you to the virtual world, the tomorrow's future.
I'm Artemis, and let me bring and introduce you to the level 1 of this world. Throughout recent history, the Philippines has been one of a few nations that demonstrates unity for a call to action or social change. These campaigns for social change would have not been successful if it were not for ICT. Brief history. The People Power Revolution lasted from 1983 to 1986. There was a sustained campaign of civil resistance against regime violence and alleged electoral fraud. The nonviolent revolution led to the departure of President Ferdinand Marcos along with his totalitarian regime and the restoration of democracy in the Philippines. The People Power II, as it came to be known, was a series of protests, from January 16 to 20, 2001 against President Joseph Estrada, who was then facing plunder charges. The protest triggered Estrada's downfall and paved the way for Gloria, his vice president, to enter the spotlight in political scene.
This is a series of protests that mainly took place in Luneta Park from August 22 to 26, 2013. The Yolanda People Finder that was used to locate individuals during and after the storm was created by Google.
Radio Veritas is the radio station that Cardinal Sin used to call on the Filipino people to support the rally against President Marcos. Text Brigade made EDSA-DOS protest successful.
Million People March was a series of protests that happened during August 22 to 26, 2013 that was caused by misuse of the pork barrel. The Information Age, also known as the Computer Age, Digital Age, or New Media Age, is a historical period that began in the mid-20th century, characterized by a rapid epochal shift from the traditional industry established by the Industrial Revolution to an economy primarily based upon information technology.
WikiLeaks is an international non-profit organization that publishes news leaks and classified media provided by anonymous sources. Its website, initiated in 2006 in Iceland by the organization Sunshine Press, stated in 2015 that it had released online 10 million documents in its first 10 years. What will happen without technology? People will become more active at work and healthier without depending too much on technologies. Exercise body, healthier activity. As for food and cloth, we can live without technology as it is not a whole part from technology, just that without it, work seems taking longer than ever. Question, can you make it till the final level?
No weapons or mature-themed avatars are permitted within the journals. Please enjoy your time with us, and happy gunting!
Biodiversity is a term used to describe the enormous variety of life on Earth. It can be used more specifically to refer to all of the species in one region or ecosystem. Biodiversity refers to every living thing, including plants, bacteria, animals, and humans.
Terminologies to ponder. Species, a group of organisms consisting of similar individuals capable of exchanging genes or interbreeding. Organisms are living things capable of reacting to stimuli, reproduction, growth, and homeostasis. When we say population, a group of living things in a certain area of the same species or of the same kind. Habitat are places where the species can find food, shelter, protection, and mates for reproduction. Biodiversity includes all ecosystem. we have managed ecosystem and unmanaged ecosystem. Biodiversity is important because it is the foundation of ecosystem services to which human well-being
A genetically modified organism, or GMO, is an organism that has had its DNA altered or modified in some way through genetic engineering. In most cases, GMOs have been altered with DNA from another organism, be it a bacterium, plant, virus or animal. These organisms are sometimes referred to as transgenic organisms. What are the benefits of GMOs? Some benefits of genetic engineering in agriculture are increased crop yields, reduced costs for food or drug production, reduced need for pesticides, enhanced nutrient composition and food quality, resistance to pests and disease, greater food security, and medical benefits to the world's growing population. What is bad about GMOs? One specific concern is the possibility for GMOs to negatively affect human health. This could result from differences in nutritional content, allergic response, or undesired side effects such as toxicity, organ damage, or gene transfer.
Let's start with one of the most common objections to GMOs. Gene flow, meaning GM crops could mix with traditional crops and introduce unwanted new characteristics into them. There is a method that might guarantee complete prevention, but is a big anti-GMO argument by itself. Terminator seeds. The idea is that they could produce sterile plants, requiring farmers to buy new seeds every year. The very concept of this, however, caused a public outcry, stopping the technology being put to use. This brings us back to the unintentional spreading of engineered DNA. There have been cases of GMOs growing where they weren't planted and traces of modified genes found in foreign crops. But GM plants can't run wild entirely. Many crops pollinate themselves, and all crops have to be related to mingle. There are also cultural methods like buffer zones to keep unintentional crossing at a minimum. But if it's possible in principle that a GMO could unintentionally cross with a non-GMO, there's actually a more important question. Is food that comes from GM crops different to food from non-GM crops? This question has been a major concern from the very beginning. GM plants that are destined to be eaten are checked for possible dangers, and the results are evaluated by multiple agencies. After more than 30 years and thousands of studies, the science is in. Eating GMO plants is no more risky than their non-GMO equivalent. But don't just take our word for it. Sources for this and other claims are in the video description. But what about plants that have been engineered to be toxic? For example, Bt crops. A gene borrowed from the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis lets engineered plants produce a protein that destroys the digestive system of specific insect pests. The plant makes its own pesticide. Insects that eat it die. That sounds alarming. Pesticide sprays can be washed off, while the poison in Bt crops is inside the plant. But actually, it's not a big deal. Poison is really just a question of different perspectives. What's harmless to one species might kill another. Coffee, for example, is a poison that kills insects but is harmless to us. Or take chocolate. It's dangerous for dogs, but a pleasure for humans. Bt crops produce a protein that is tailored to the specific design of the digestive tract of certain insects. It's completely harmless for us. There's also the opposite approach. Plants that are engineered to be resistant to certain weed killers. This way, farmers can use them widely, killing the other plants competing for resources without harming the crop. Here we get to the dark underbelly of GMOs. For the pesticide industry, they are big business. Over 90% of all cash crops in the US are herbicide resistant, mostly to glyphosate. As a result, the use of glyphosate has increased greatly. That isn't only bad. Glyphosate is much less harmful to humans than many other herbicides. Still, this means farmers have a strong incentive to rely on this one method only, casting more balanced ways of managing weeds aside. That's one of the most fundamental problems with the GMO debate. Much of the criticism of this technology is actually criticism of modern agriculture and the business practice of the huge corporations that control our food supply. This criticism is not only valid, it's also important.
Padua, you're the first to finish.
Mr. Halliday, Anorak, it's such an honor.
The honor's all mine. Get yourself a clue.